Hey guys, it's Barrett with the Gimpy Camper. I want to show you today how to patch a hole on an RV roof. In particularly, today we're going to remove a TV antenna and patch the hole where it was. The antenna doesn't turn, it's locked in place, it has a tiny leak in it, and I'm not going to use it, so I'm just going to take it out. So this is how I went about patching it. There's many different ways. This is one way. I'm a huge fan of Eternabond tape, if you don't know. And let's just jump right to it. Since we're removing the antenna, we got to go inside first and take out the Allen screw that's in the bottom of the twist handle. I'll show you where that is here. And then we pull that off, and when the top cover of that comes off, then there's 3 Phillips screws under there. So then we go to the top where we start taking the sealant off around the antenna. I have Dicor with Eternabond over it. You may just have Dicor on there to scrape off. And the only con to using the Eternabond is it is hard to get off whenever you need to, but the hairdryer helps a lot if you heat that up. If you're going to replace Eternabond after you peel it off, you don't have to get all the gray stuff off of it. If you are going to leave it off, then you've got to try to get that off. I don't know about on a rubber roof, but I know that gasoline takes it off pretty well on like fiberglass or something like that. Here's your reminder to not do what I did and leave the antenna down when you take the handle off. I had to put the handle back on and crank it up so I could get to the screws on the back. Then you have to scrape all the Dicor off. I recommend using a hand scraper. For some reason I couldn't find mine. It looked like it was about to rain, and I had the oscillating tool with a scraper blade on it, so I used that, but it did dig into the rubber in one spot, so I do not recommend that way. Just use a regular painter scraper. There are more screws buried under the Dicor, so you just got to keep going around with the scraper until you find all the screws, get them all loose. Once we got all the screws out, then we were able to just wiggle the antenna a little bit, and it just popped right off. So after you remove the antenna, then you're basically starting where any patch in the roof would be the same. So you want to take a scraper and scrape up any Dicor that's around the area, clean it off really well. That way whatever you put on there will stick to it. Since I'm using Eternabond, I do have the cleaner and the primer, so I went ahead and put those down as well. I know some people don't use those products, but I had them around, and it's not going to hurt anything. But put the cleaner on, and then you wipe it off real good. Then I'm going to put some flashing down to give it some extra support. It would be better with one larger piece of flashing here. One piece covered the 2 main holes, but I want to try to cover as many of the screw holes as I could too. And with the flashing, I just went around the edges with BUTYL tape, peeled the backing off and stuck it down to the roof, and then put a screw, 3 or 4 screws in each side of the flashing in both pieces. You just have to remember that the flashing and the BUTYL tape is not the primary source of the waterproofing here. The primary source is going to be the Eternabond tape, but you want as many layers of waterproofing as you can get, because you don't want to take any chances on any water getting in. So after I got everything screwed down real well, I took the primer for the Eternabond and sprayed it down. You just let it get tacky before you put the tape down. The tape process is fairly simple and self-explanatory. You just cut a piece off. I always make sure it's a little bit longer, and then you peel the backing off and stick it down. The biggest thing is you got to make sure that you apply a lot of pressure to the tape. So I recommend using a roller if you can get one to the area that you're putting it on. If not, just use your fingers and your hand. Just put as much pressure as you can down on that Eternabond. For this particular application, they do make Eternabond patches that are larger, like a sheet of paper, that probably would have been just as good. But I had a roll of the tape, so we went with the tape. And I did do overkill on here. I put an extra piece in the very center to kind of raise it up so that it would run down both sides as well. We're just putting down our last piece of tape here, then we make sure it's got plenty of pressure on top of it, and go over a roller over the whole thing, because that's what you want to do. You just want to roll it out about 3 times more than you think you do, because every square centimeter of this stuff forms a waterproof bond, and the more you get on there, the better. Thanks for following along with us today. I hope you learned something, and be sure to like and subscribe.